Good morning, Anne. Really lovely to have the opportunity to see you this morning and to have a chance to have a peek inside your beautiful houseboat. So thank you very much for inviting us to do so.
Morning. It's a lovely morning here in February, a bit chilly. Not on the boat because I've got lots of backup in terms of heating, but it's quite cool outside. But lovely to speak to you. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Before we actually do go inside and have a look at the boat, it would be lovely to hear a little bit about how you ended up living on a houseboat in the first place.
Okay. Well, it was 2008. I was doing two jobs. One was the interior design work, which I was transitioning into, and the other one was my previous job, which was working with senior people in organizations on their leadership. So that was the position I was in. And of course, in 2008, we had that massive depression following the bank crashing, the banks crashing. So I decided to move, to downsize, just because I was moving probably into a new area. I wasn't sure what my income was going to be. And so I decided to downsize, and moving to a flat sounded a bit boring. I also had a little dog, and sometimes with dogs, it's not that easy to, buy a property, which is leasehold. Anyway, so it ended up that I think I woke up one morning having had a dream, thought it might be nice to live on a boat. And I have a friend who lives literally just from here, straightforward, is 10 minutes down the road. And she said, there's a guy up in Surbiton who builds boats, and you also get a permanent mooring. So I went and saw him and commissioned a boat. So the boat was built from new. It took best part of 8 months to build and to refurbish, or to furnish, and to fit out inside. The hull was made in Liverpool, and it came down on a carrier. It was launched in Shepperton and then came down the river to me in Surbiton, just outside Kingston on Thames. And then the boatyard people, they actually fitted out the rest of the boat. So it was a big change because, I've always lived on solid land before. So it was a bit of a culture shock, but it's a lovely community and I absolutely love the boat. I don't know how I'd live back on solid land now, to be honest. It would be quite challenging for me. So I just love it. So that was a journey to get here. And of course, it coincided with me setting up my design business. So it's a good place to live when you're an interior designer, because first of all, clients love to come and sit on the boat and visit it. And secondly, it's a very creative space.
It's a beautiful space. And here we are actually at the entrance of the boat, and there's a little gangplank, isn't there, to take you on to the towpath, just where Mikey's standing.
Yes, this is Mikey the Norfolk, my little companion.
So this is how we're greeted whenever we visit. The welcoming committee.
Welcoming committee, yeah.
And now going inside into your beautiful living area, it would be lovely if you would talk a little bit about how you designed it and what your intentions were and the way in which you created it.
Okay, so the first thing I had to think about was how much I wanted it to look like a boat and how much of it I wanted to look like an apartment. And it fell in between. It's a bit of both. When I moved onto the boat, there was more oak veneer, a bit more, which was wood. And gradually, over the time that I've lived here, I have put more paint up on the walls because I find that it feels much lighter and much more airy with the paint. So I've kept the wood, under the gunnels, as it were, sort of round at the, sort of like at the underneath the windows, and it's painted everywhere else. The next thing I had to think about was storage, and moving from a 2-bedroomed house, which is quite a spacious house, actually, I had to downsize. So I needed stuff that I needed to store, stuff that I didn't really want on display. So I built a whole load of cupboards along the right-hand side of the boat, behind the sofa. They were adapted from kitchen wall units. And storage is everywhere. So in the 2 steps leading out to the front of the boat at the bow, one is for my stationery, and the other one is for coal and wood for the fire. So there was storage was a big issue. I was very lucky that I was able to employ the skills of a carpenter, a local carpenter, who just happened to be visiting. And he lived on a narrow boat, and so he was very skilled at being able to identify the kind of storage that I needed, and very creative. So together we put in lots of storage, and nice looking storage as well. It's very beautifully finished. The colour scheme, greys and lots of greys. The tiles I put into one of my clients' bathrooms, and I fell in love with them. And the tiles behind the stove, and as you'll see in a minute, behind the kitchen hob, I just love those. So I kept the kind of the grey throughout. So there's a grey base to the whole boat with the wood, and then I've always added colour. So I can't really live without colour. So this colour at the moment is green and blue, which is fantastic because it pulls in the outside of the, the nature outside. And the greys are great in the winter because the river is very grey in the winter. So it's all very harmonious.
It's a very calming scheme, isn't it?
I think calm is a really good word because, when I moved onto the boat, I'd had quite a turmoil in my life, because, changing career and going through a recession and all of that stuff. And the big, sort of vision that I had was to have a calm space where I could retreat to. And it's really lived up to its name. It's been able to give me that. It's fantastic.
And I see you've also managed to create space to surround yourself with the things that you love as well and are personal to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see, you've obviously got a lovely book collection in there, lots of design books.
I've got lots of design books. I've got not as many as I used to have, but I refresh them occasionally with new ones. I've got stuff that I've collected over the years. So on the wall, down by the stove, there are 2 panels, and they're sort of original roof tiles from New York warehouses. I've got lots of stuff from my travels. I traveled a lot in my previous job, so there's lots of stuff I brought back from my travels. The mask, which is down by the fire, that came from a small village in Italy where I've just found a beautiful little craft shop. Stuff that I love, other stuff that I love.
You're a great fan of ceramics too, aren't you?
Yeah, the lampshade in the corner, which is not lit up there, but that was one of our Decker Cafe friends. Isabel Allen Lowe, she designed that, which is fantastic. It's a beautiful translucent lampshade. Lots of stuff. Whenever I go on holiday, I bring something back, I bring back a bit of pottery or a painting or something.
Well, it's great that you've created such a lovely space to put it in. And then looking from the other perspective, tell us a bit about how you designed the kitchen.
So the kitchen, I wanted to be like a kitchen in any apartment. So I didn't compromise on space. There was a big debate as to whether I should make it slightly narrower. So it's 2 meters wide by 2 meters deep. The boat itself is 60 feet wide, but 60 feet long rather by 11 foot wide. So the kitchen comes out, it's quite a big part of the boat. Actually, I do cook and entertain a lot. So, one of the critical things when you're designing a small space, I think, is to actually really look at the lifestyle that you're going to lead and to adapt the boat or the living space according to that. So it was very much about giving me a decent kitchen to work in. I wanted a wine fridge, which is a bit sad, but I did want a wine.
Very sensible, I would say. Very sensible.
I did want a wine fridge so I could have a nice glass of chilled wine out on the deck in the
summer. I bet you've been very glad of that during lockdown, haven't you?
I have been exceptionally glad of that during lockdown. And in fact, I've got the wine fridge at that end, and then around the other side, I've got my drinks basket where I've got my red wine is in that bit. Anyway, so in the kitchen, you've got a built-in fridge, which is next to the wine fridge, then the dishwasher. Then I've got the rubbish, the sort of, the bin storage, and then I've got a row of storage shelves, which are corner shelves, so they come out into the kitchen. They've got good deep storage. And then on the other side, I've got microwave, oven, and hob. You're not allowed to have electric ovens on the boatyard, so it's a gas oven. But it's fantastic. It works just like an electric one. It's really good.
And is that an additional source of light in the kitchen above?
Yes, that's a hatch. So that you can, when you commission your boat, you can have as many hatches as you want. The trouble with hatches is, although they give good light, they can attract condensation. So the boat itself is double glazed, but the hatch isn't. So what you don't really want is one of those over your bed and it drips down. You know, condensation drips onto you while you're lying.
No, that would not be good.
So I have the kitchen one. So, but the kitchen one's great.
But
And
it works well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I open it up in the summer.
I mean, I do think it's quite surprising how light the whole boat feels, actually, given that, you know, presumably the height of the ceiling is quite low compared to a house. Do you know what the height is from floor to ceiling?
It's about 1 I think it's about 1.8 meters at its highest.
So that is low, isn't it?
It's pretty low, and also, you know, it's because it's got the curve on it, it's quite low at either side. I've got to be careful when big people come on the boat. I remind them, you know, so they might bang their head.
Bit of limbo.
Absolutely. I'm small, so you know, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm quite short. So the tongue and groove on the boat, that's actually plastic. Funny enough, it's
oh wow.
Yeah, it's because wood tongue and groove on boats tends to split, right. And it's a much more you know, sort of solid structure.
You would never know that though, would you? It looks like
it's pretty good actually. It works quite well.
And those are the tiles that you were talking about earlier?
Yes, Patricia Ercola. She's a Spanish designer, and she did just when the pattern tiles were becoming more popular. Probably it was 2012 actually. I got those, and I did a client's bathroom all over in them. She went wild about them, and so I decided to have them myself on the boat.
Yeah, they're lovely. And here we are looking at the additional storage area that you've built on the other side.
Shelves that Nigel really did a lovely job on, beautifully finished. Yeah. So again, I love books. I read a lot. So you can see I've got bookshelves there. I have to generally every month my books get turned over, and the ones I've read go to the charity shop, or we have a sort of a communal bookshop on the boatyard with all the residents, so that can work quite well. Because I hate clutter. I like to have lots of stuff, but I don't like it to look cluttered. So I keep those fairly clean.
And this, I think, is, you know, one of my favorite design details of the whole boat, which is the additional bar that you built at such a clever level, so that you've got that sort of working space, but from the kitchen area you can't see it at all. So going back to your feeling of, you know, openness and no clutter, it works really well that you can't see it apart from this angle.
Yes, yeah, they wanted to build me a traditional bar area, so that I would have had bar stools there, and because I used that as my workspace, it would have been very uncomfortable. So I treated myself to some very nice dining chairs, Hans Wenger wishbone chairs. So it doubles up as somewhere to eat if you've just got another person, a friend coming for a meal, and also I do all my work there as well.
And this is probably a good place to actually talk about the design of the boat as a whole. So behind us we have the open plan living area going up to the front of the boat and with the wood burner. What are we actually looking at from here? What goes behind that kitchen?
So behind the kitchen is the shower room, and then behind that is the bedroom. Quite a few of these boats have the layout the other way around. So they have the bedroom at the bow where my living area is, and vice versa. And I didn't want that because I wanted to have a really wide, you know, open space for living, and that led out onto the bow in the summer, so we can have nice drinks and, you know, look at the world going by. And the bedroom at the back. The other thing about the back, the row of the back of the boat, is that it's much cooler. So I like a cool bedroom. So in fact, it suits me perfectly, because particularly in the summer when it's quite warm, my bedroom's lovely and cool. In the winter, it's quite chilly, so I have to compensate with lots of nice warm bedclothes. But you know, it's absolutely fine. It's when I'm in bed, it's fine.
Here you are. Here is,
and then Yeah, the bedroom is an important area for me in that I had, because of my job, I like to look stylish as much as I can. So I got two double wardrobes. One of the wardrobes has got 9 drawers in it, if you can believe that. Lots of shelving. It was a, a feat of engineering and design, the 2 wardrobes that I've got. And in fact, backing into the wardrobe opposite the one that you see there, we've got my washing machine, which you access from the corridor. So I've got a washer dryer that does all my laundry.
So you've even managed to fit a utility room in, a separate utility room.
I've actually got a utility area. Yes.
Perfect.
It's really important. So this room, and the bed was custom built. It's got 6 drawers. I keep all my shoes, my handbags in the drawers. And the bit that I love most about the bedroom is the screen. The screen was a bit of tatty old trellis that I found lying around in the workshop where they were building the boat, and or when they were building the boat. And I asked Nigel, the carpenter, Mr. Genius, to make me a screen, and he did, and I love it. Because when you come on the boat, you don't actually notice the bed because you just go straight, it kind of guides you straight through. Whereas if it had just been open plan, you would have seen the bed. So
yeah. It's clever because it does give that feeling of space too, doesn't it? That, although it's right up against the end of the bed, you don't feel like it's something solid.
You can see right through it into the corridor, which is it's great. Yeah, so I really love that. In fact, I've used that design in a project I did recently for the end of a bed.
Oh, really?
Where we built a screen in a house. And
in a house,
it looked really good.
And I'm assuming, looking at the amazing storage and everything that you have throughout the whole boat, that I know that you have recently done a houseboat project, but most of your work is obviously for a whole variety of projects, from Georgian listed buildings to barn conversions to modern family homes to apartments to everything. But I imagine that you take a lot of ideas, particularly for the storage, into the work that you do, or a lot of the practical aspects. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Because it constantly amazes me how badly designed some apartments are. I'm just doing a project at the moment where there's no storage at all. And so the poor couple that are buying it are going to have to build in quite expensively loads and loads of storage space. So I find it astonishing that people don't have built-in storage. On a boat, you've got to find every opportunity. So there's a little step down into the boat, and in there I've got all of Mikey's jumpers and leads and collars and all that stuff, that you keep for your doggies. So and there's also a very good cupboard which here is behind the shower room, which has got all of the pipe work for the shower room, but also doubles up to keep the vacuum cleaner, the ironing board, all of my cleaning stuff. I call it my cleaning cupboard.
And finally, here is the shower room. So
it's a lovely shower room. Yeah.
Tell us about this. How did you design?
So again, it's another room that I didn't want to compromise on. I didn't want to be cramped when I was, in and getting out of the shower. I wanted somewhere to dry myself. So I designed this, and Nigel did the vanity unit, which again is lovely, fits perfectly in the space. The shower is very spacious. A lot of the showers that they build have got curved frontages and sliding doors. I didn't want that look at all. And the boat builders moaned at me at the time, but they realized that, that I was probably right. And it does look really nice, and it's very easy to clean, and it gives me lots of space. I've just had it done up, actually. I went for a design change. I've had the taps and the shower thermostat changed. The thermostat was not working very well, so I had it replaced. So I've gone for black brassware, and I was trying it out, actually, because I always thought it might crust up with limescale, but it doesn't. It's really nice. The basket there that you can see is my laundry basket, and that came from Nigeria when I was on a trip to Nigeria, one of the trips that I did. And then the mirror came from a woman that I used to get lots of stuff from. She used to run a beautiful little design shop, and it's made in France out of shells. It's a beautiful mirror, and it's gone with me through lots and lots of places that I've stayed, and I've always found a nice place to put it. So most of the stuff on the boat's not new. It's stuff that I brought from my previous houses and homes, but it's just fitted in nicely to the boat. The other thing I've avoided, really avoided, or tried to avoid, is doing a stereotypical boat. So you'll only find one anchor, an anchor image on the boat, and it's actually in my box of matches that I got the other day with an anchor on it. So I've tried to avoid, doing lots of, ropes and stuff that you would traditionally see in boats, because I think they can look really naff when you put them into designs.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, and the wood finish on the wall there is different, isn't it, from the rest of the boat?
Yes, it is. That's wallpaper, actually. It's a Houseboat wallpaper. It's vinyl. It's very thick and it's very textured. It's rough to feel. And I wanted to change from the wood veneer, so I put that up about 4 or 5 years ago now. And actually, it looks like brand new. It's kept really well.
And tell me about the artwork there. It's beautiful.
So the artwork came from Morocco. It's an English artist. It draws images of faces of men particularly who live in the Middle East, and it's fantastic. I've got the other ones above the loo. I brought them back from a trip to Morocco some years ago.
Well, thank you, Anna. It's been really lovely to have the opportunity to see around your houseboat and how you've designed it, and the ideas that, particularly for storage and creating and making the most of a small space, and how you've managed to make it so beautiful and actually create a lovely light scheme in really a very small area and make it the most of every inch of space. So thank you very much. I've really, really enjoyed having a look around and appreciate you taking the time to show us.
Well, thank you. I love having you. Thanks.